From CNN, I'm Fez Jamil with the 5 things you need to know for Tuesday, May 24th. It's primary day in Arkansas, Alabama, and Georgia, and it will be another big test of former President Donald Trump's influence. Voters in Georgia's Republican primary for governor will be choosing between 2 candidates, incumbent Brian Kemp and Trump-backed former Senator David Perdue. Kemp has the endorsement of former Vice President Mike Pence, and recent public polls put him ahead of Perdue.
When you say yes to Governor Brian Kemp tomorrow, you will send a deafening message all across America that the Republican Party is the party of the future.
Trump has previously lashed out at Kemp and Pence for not helping him try to overturn the 2020 election, and Perdue has mimicked that in his campaigning.
He has divided our party. He allowed him to steal the election. He denied it. He is now covering it up, and he's suppressing evidence, and that's why he cannot win in November.
Both men need at least 50% of the vote to avoid a runoff, and whoever wins will face former State House Democrat Stacey Abrams. There's also voting today in Minnesota, where there's a special primary, and Texas, where there are primary runoffs. President Joe Biden has been holding bilateral meetings with the leaders of Australia and India ahead of today's meeting of the Quad.
It's important to demonstrate that in democracies we have the power to deliver.
The Quad, which is made up of these countries and Japan, are holding an in-person summit in Tokyo today. The group is seen as a counter to China's reach and territorial claims in the Indo-Pacific, as well as to North Korea's nuclear ambitions. This time, the war in Ukraine is also expected to be among the issues on the table. But as CNN's Kevin Liptak tells us from Tokyo, Biden's comment yesterday that the U.S. would intervene militarily if China invaded Taiwan is still following him.
I think the president and his team really think that the calculus in all of this has changed by Russia's invasion in Ukraine, and that if there is ever a moment to sort of signal to China not to move on Taiwan, now is that time.
Anyone can get monkeypox, but the CDC warns that some groups may be at greater risk of exposure, like the LGBTQ community. It says a, quote, notable fraction of cases in the latest global outbreak are happening among gay and bisexual men. In a news conference yesterday, the CDC's Dr. John Brooks says the agency is putting out the warning now because LGBTQ Pride Month usually kicks off around the Memorial Day weekend. He added that officials want to make sure the community was aware of the situation and also urged doctors to be on the lookout for the disease because monkeypox can look like several types of STDs. A Russian diplomat who worked for 20 years says he's resigning in protest of Russia's war in Ukraine. That's according to multiple media outlets. It's a rare public protest by a Russian official, and in a LinkedIn post, he was extremely critical of his government. CNN's Claire Sebastian has more.
He said that even after 20 years of service, he has never been so ashamed of his country as he was on February 24th this year, continuing, and I quote, "The aggressive war unleashed by Putin against Ukraine, and in fact against the entire Western world, is not only a crime against the Ukrainian people, but also perhaps the most serious crime against the people of Russia." He accused his own employer, the foreign ministry, of lies and unprofessionalism that have in recent years, he said, become catastrophic.
There's been no comment yet from the Russian foreign ministry. Coming up, a major tourist country where you won't be able to Airbnb it anymore. Hey, it's Fez Jamil from CNN 5 Things. Get breaking news right to your favorite podcast app with CNN's Breaking News Alerts. In 1 minute or less, you'll get the details of what's making headlines in the U.S. and around the world. Find CNN Breaking News Alerts wherever you get your podcasts. The next time you're in China, you won't be able to Airbnb it. The company is planning to shut down its listings in the country starting this summer. A source familiar with the matter says it's because of 2 years of lockdowns in China with, quote, no end in sight. The source told CNN that the company reportedly made the decision because of a decline in business in the country, adding that, quote, costly and complex operation constraints were made worse by COVID-19. That's it for now, and to hear updates from CNN 5 Things as soon as they're available, check the notifications box in the Settings tab of your favorite podcast app. I'll be back with our next episode, which drops at 9 a.m. Eastern. Hey, it's Fez Jamil from CNN 5 Things. Get breaking news right to your favorite podcast app with CNN's Breaking News Alerts. In 1 minute or less, you'll get the details of what's making headlines in the U.S. and around the world. Find CNN Breaking News Alerts wherever you get your podcasts.